Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be showing you all of my knitting plans for basically the next 3 months or something. I'm calling this a spring knitting video plans. But keep in mind that I'm a cold person and I also live in the Netherlands, so some of these plans may not really be called a spring project for you, because there are a lot of them that are made with wool or have long sleeves. I think it's also wise to start this video with a bit of a disclaimer. It's basically I bought all of this yarn at once. I know most people that are knitters, they have a stash. But I don't really have a stash like that. My stash is very small that I have, and it's mostly based with yarns that I bought for a project, then started working on the project, and then I didn't like the fit or something, so I never finished it. And now I have that yarn. So I decided to buy all of this yarn at once, just to be prepared and have plans for the next month, because I really like to be planned, and then also the fact that I can choose what I feel like working on. Now that I've explained all of my reasons, we can get into the actual projects. The first one is sweater Augustines number 1 by Augustines. And I'm knitting it in 2 different mohairs and then also a hand-dyed yarn. The original yarn that she also uses wool and a silk mohair, both of which are very big skeins, more like luxurious yarns, so it's not like small ones like this, but the bigger skeins. The reason I'm using 2 mohairs is because hers is 50 grams for 420 meters. And then mine is actually 50 grams for, I believe, 500 meters. It doesn't really hurt to add another strand of mohair because it's so nice and fluffy and light. So I'm using this pink color. This has like a marbled effect. You can see I don't have that much left, but I actually started knitting on it already and I only need to do 1 more sleeve. Then I'm using the giant cone that I have. It's like a kilogram cone. And I thought this was a nice neutral to add. And they all really shine together with this beautiful hand-dyed yarn that I'm using. Most people that I've seen make this project, they don't use hand-dyed yarn, because I think it does kind of take away from all of the design elements with the cables and the ruffles that it has. But I just really love this hand-dyed yarn, and I guess I kind of felt like doing a little bit more crazy sweater. So this is just beautiful speckled, really like a confetti kind of yarn. And this is a sock yarn. So it's 75% wool and then 25% nylon. It's a basic sock yarn. And it's from this brand. It's a Dutch brand and it's called Wool met Verve. And they're really affordable, which is why I also really like it. In the future, if I ever want a hand-dyed yarn, this is definitely one of the places that I will check out. It obviously depends on what kind of colors they have in stock, but overall I found a lot of colors that I liked. So then what I'm spending on this project is 51 euros and 40 cents. Then the next one is gonna be a hat, just because it's still quite cold and my ears always hurt so much from when the wind gets inside of them. It's like this pain where you have like an ear infection or something. It's pretty crazy. So I just found this pattern on Ravelry and it's called the Edie hat from Lana knit, and I was immediately just drawn to this hat. I don't know why. It's knit in a 5 and a 5.5 millimeter needles. I was planning another hat, but it was knit on like 12 millimeter needles and I don't even own those. I don't think I would really enjoy the project of it. So I decided that this hat would suit my needs more. And it's actually a free pattern, so that's also a bonus. I'm knitting it in the Lana Grossa, I don't know how you pronounce it, the Seta Suri big. And it's a really nice Suri alpaca, 70% then 20% silk and then 10% virgin wool. And it's 50 grams for 100 meters, so it's definitely a more chunky yarn. And then I'm holding them together, and then that will set me back 14 euros for this hat. Then the third project is gonna be Augustines number 14. There is gonna be a lot of Augustines in this list, but I just really love her pattern, so I'm gonna just make all of them. And this is gonna be knit in... I got some yarn from a Norwegian website, so I definitely don't know how to pronounce this. You can just see this is the brand and it's called Verve. And this is 100% wool. That's the only thing I can read on this. And then I'm holding it together with a mohair thread, another one on a cone. This is not like the most typical mohair composition because it's mostly acrylic and polyamide, but it was just super affordable. And I actually need 2 strands of it. Then this is also knit on 5.5mm needles and 6. So it's gonna be 2 of these and then 1 thread of this, and I think the color is gonna be really nice, so I'm excited to make this one. So with the pattern and then all of the yarn, that adds up to 24 euros, which I think is really affordable for a sweater. That's probably gonna take me like 3 weeks to make. Lots of fun to knit with the lace and the yoke, and I especially love the ruffles on the sleeves because I just love when sleeves are impractical. And the next project is an accessory. It's the Soul Sister scarf, also by Lana Knit. And I just really love this pattern. I saw it and I immediately thought I would like to have that. I'm actually wearing also a little scarf today. I think this is gonna be my new accessory thing. This is knit on 4mm needles and it has a really unique stitch pattern. I don't know what this pattern is called, but I really like the look of it. I don't know the original yarn that they're using. I believe they're just using a sock yarn together with a mohair. So I'm using a Drops Flora yarn. And this is, I believe, it's 65% wool and 35% alpaca in just a neutral color. And then I'm holding it together with some more yarn. This is the Lana Grossa Seta Suri. So this is the big version and then this is the regular version. And the regular version is the double amount of meters. So it's actually 25 grams for 212 meters. And the composition is also slightly different, because that one had virgin wool inside and this one is 69% Suri alpaca and then 31% silk. So it's also a little bit different, and then these held together. I think it will create a really nice neutral piece for me that really will go with everything. After that I'm gonna knit a more chunky piece, and it's the Clotilde cardigan from Knitting for Olive. With this project I'm using the most different yarn because they are using a wool that's 50 grams for 125 meters, and then they're holding that one double. And then they're also using 2 threads of silk mohair. And if you're holding so many threads double, it really makes the project so much more expensive. And I wanted, of course, to try to do it more on a budget. It's actually knit on 6, 7 and 10mm needles. So this is from the brand Linde Garn and it's called Inca and it's a blow yarn. I would say it's very similar to Drop Swish. It's probably the composition that's the most different. Although I don't know the composition of the Drop Swish, to be honest. But I really like this color. It's 56% baby alpaca, 24% merino wool and then 20% nylon. So I got 8 of those and then I'm holding it together with a yarn that's actually, as you can see, a very different color. So I'm really curious to see how the color of this project will turn out. And also if I will match the gauge. If it really doesn't go well, I would just use the yarn obviously for a different project. But this is Du Store alpaca yarn and I really like this brand. This is called the Dreamline Air and it's 78% Suri alpaca and 20% polyamide. So it's very different from this one, even though they're both Suri alpaca, because this one has the silk. I feel like it makes it much more fluffy compared to this one. But this one is definitely very soft. And it's nice if you don't like the feeling of the mohair silk. I think this is something that will suit a lot of people, their skin sensitivities. I'm using 4 of these. Then the total for this project is 40 euros and 60 cents. Which I think is quite expensive still for a project that will probably be quick to knit. Ooh. Then the next one is also super duper nice, and it's the Augustines number 7. This one I'm making in Drops Flora again, in a beautiful camel color, and this is actually a new color range that they have. And like I said, it has some alpaca in it, and then I'm holding it together with the Drops Kid Silk, also in a camel color. That's how that looks, and then here are they together. This color is absolutely beautiful, and I think with the pattern it's gonna be a really nice one. This one is knit on 5 and 6mm needles, and then the total cost of this project is €31.04, which again for a sweater I think is a really nice price, and I think I'm gonna wear this one quite a bit. Just imagine a sweater in this color and then with a hat in this color. I think that's really nice. Or like a little scarf. The next project is another accessory. As you can see, I'm kind of trying to switch it up from bigger projects to smaller projects. This is gonna be a scarf number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm knitting it in basic merino yarn from Katja. This is not really a yarn that I think I would try and find online and buy it, but I saw this in a store and I really liked the color of it. It was on sale. So I believe the original price of this yarn is like €7 for one ball, but then I got them for like €4. And it's mostly acrylic. Well, it's 52% wool and then 48% acrylic. So I only need two of these to make the scarf, which is knit on 3.5mm needles. So the total for this project will only be €13. So I did notice actually that this really is not a mindless knitting project, because you either have to follow the chart or they have it written out, but then I think I really have to print out this pattern and then mark every line that I've done, or else it's just really difficult. The next one I feel like is a little bit more mindless because it's a lot of stockinette. It's the Augustines number 17. And then this one I'm knitting in some hand-dyed yarn. And this one I got from my boyfriend. He gave me some money to pick out something in a yarn store, and then this is the one that I chose because these colors just scream my name, I think. So it's beautiful rusty reddish color combined with pastel pink. It's just beautiful. And this yarn is from Neighborhood Fiber Co. and it's the color Butcher's Hill, in case anyone's wondering if you like this yarn. It was very expensive, but I'm going to try to squeeze the Augustines number 17 out of only one skein. So we'll have to see if I manage. Then I'm holding it together with 3 threads of silk. You may have seen this in my first knitting podcast video. I was knitting, I don't even know what it was called, but the min mode vest I was knitting. I was almost finished with it, and then my head couldn't fit inside the hole. So, and also just the whole general vest, I didn't really like the way that it was looking, and it was super light, and I feel like I like a little bit more weight to a project. So I decided to rip it all back, so now I have all of these little balls to work with, which is a little bit annoying, but I think this project is more my cup of tea, and the colors actually match really well. So I think it's going to be a good one. Then this is a more bulky project, so it's knit on 8, 9 and 10mm needles. And then I have it all wrapped up in this little bag. So that's pretty cute. But it's going to be a while before I can work on this one. I believe this is one of the last projects. Yeah, it is. Just because I thought this one was the most summery with the short sleeves. And also just lighter yarn in general. I do have one project in mind that I want to do that I don't have the yarn for, and I really want to knit a maxi skirt, or I don't want to knit it, I want to crochet a maxi skirt. I don't know yet if it's gonna be like a flowy skirt or more of an A-line, and also the type of yarn I really don't know, but I do know it's gonna be probably a cheaper yarn, which is why I haven't really started looking for it yet. And also I just almost finished the pair of pants that I was working on, so I don't really feel like immediately starting that project. But it is something I'm thinking about, and I think that will be one of the projects that I'm working on two at once, because I am a monogamous knitter, as they call it, so I like to work on only one knitting project, but I don't mind having then one crochet project on the side. Also have some other patterns that I really love the look of, but I haven't bought the yarn yet, so I think these are gonna be more winter projects for me. But I did want to share them nonetheless, in case you need just a little bit of inspiration. So the first one is the, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the light hem sweater. I really love the flared sleeve with the lace. I think it's so beautiful. But I'm not sure about the yarn that I chose. I wouldn't use the original yarn because it's very expensive. So I would use the Merino Uno from Lana Grossa. But it's still around 50 euros for just the yarn. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. Another project that I really like is the bindweed cardigan. I would love to make it in some hand-dyed yarn. And I just really love the big sleeves with all the little baubles that are on it. The only thing I'm unsure of is the front. I tend to prefer a cardigan with buttons, or just a more like a round neck, for example. Then I would also really like to knit a top-down sweater with a beautiful lace yoke. So for example the Whitmore sweater or the Magnolia bloom. Both of these I don't think I even need to add a picture because they're very well known. And then another project that I would love to make, I already picked out the yarn for it, but then I decided it's really not maybe suited for spring knitting, because it's the Augustines number 21, which is a maxi dress. You can obviously knit it any length that you want, but I would knit it to be like a maxi dress. And I think this project is better for maybe the fall. So those were all of the projects that I'm planning to knit for this spring, and the plans that didn't go through. I hope this was fun to watch for all of you, and that you maybe got some ideas for yourself for things that you want to knit for the spring or like this in-between season. So over the next couple of months you will probably see all of these projects in my knitting podcast, and you will also then see if things, you know, maybe changed, or if I decided to use the yarn for something else, or if a pattern just really didn't work for me because of my skill set or whatever. I'm excited to go through all of it with you, and I wish you all a very nice day and thank you for watching. Bye!